for anyone just coming in here, we are just, if you can share where you are signing in from, we're just hanging out for a minute or two before getting started. We're going to get started right near the top of the hour here. We'll give them about 2 more minutes or so for people to get settled and log in. So you've got people from all over the US. We got Houston,
Great.
Charlotte, Chicago, some more Ohio folks. Myself
Love
and
it.
Kathy are in Ohio for anyone just joining. Cayman Islands, that sounds like a great spot.
And I think I don't know if the Cayman Islands are in the path, but I think hurricane season is starting back
Right.
up.
We've got the UK signing in. Fantastic.
I'm excited for this webinar because I told you pre-show that, when I was working at an agency a long time ago, a few of my major clients were manufacturing companies. And I'm just like, I was reading the report and talking to you thinking like, gosh, this would have been really helpful a really long time ago. So it's
Right.
nice to see that some of these things are advancing and that some of these companies can really do some cool things with this tech.
Absolutely. We'll just give it okay. I think we're ready to get started. Kathy, you all set? You ready to go?
I am ready to go.
All right, fantastic. Well, thank you everyone for joining us for today's webinar. We have a real treat for you today. We're really excited because we're going to talk about the AI for manufacturing marketing blueprint rather. And this is a really special webinar that breaks down the key findings from an exclusive report that we here at Marketing AI Institute put together in partnership with our friends at Drift. And Drift is the sponsor of this webinar, as well as the report. Drift is a conversational AI leader. We'll talk a little bit more about them in a bit, but that's why you will see their logo throughout here. And in the report and during today's webinar, we're going to talk about ways that marketers in the manufacturing industry specifically can start supercharging their productivity and performance using artificial intelligence. Now, before we dive into all that, I want to go through some really quick housekeeping notes. First, you are going to get a full copy of the report via email after this webinar. So you'll get an ungated version as part of your registration. However, if you want to read it sooner, we are also going to provide a link to the report at the end of this presentation, so you can go download it a little earlier if you want. Second, if you have any questions, we're going to do a little bit of Q&A and discussion between myself and Kathy at the end. So please drop those questions into the Q&A section of the webinar or into chat. And I also want to introduce myself and Kathy as your presenters. We've got a fair amount of new people on this webinar and also just generally in the Institute audience. So I wanted to take a few minutes to introduce ourselves and also Marketing AI Institute. My name is Mike Kaput. I am the Chief Content Officer at Marketing AI Institute. And Kathy here is our Chief Growth Officer. And like Kathy was mentioning kind of in our earlier discussion while we were waiting for people to trickle in, Kathy comes from the agency world. I do as well. And we both worked with an extensive amount of manufacturing clients over the course of our career. So we're kind of merging these two really interesting backgrounds of both manufacturing and, as we'll see in a second, applying AI to marketing. Now, for anyone who's unfamiliar or kind of new to one of our webinars, I want to take a minute to introduce or reintroduce you to kind of what we do here at Marketing AI Institute. We are a media, event, and online education company, and our whole reason for being is to make AI accessible, approachable, and actionable to marketers and business leaders. And we have actually been doing that since way back in 2016. So well before, ChatGPT or the current explosion of generative AI tools. We are actually not machine learning engineers. We're not data scientists. We are marketers and business people by trade. We actually spun out of a marketing agency way back when that used to be owned by Marketing AI Institute's founder and CEO, Paul Raitzer. And during that time, we were all trying to figure out how to use AI to improve the marketing results we were trying to get for our clients at the agency. And many of those clients, like I mentioned, included manufacturing firms. So in the process, we spent years researching and testing technology and kind of learning how to apply it practically to marketing. And we shared everything we were learning along the way, which is kind of how Marketing AI Institute came to be. Now, if you fast forward to today, we're an industry leading source of AI education. So well before the current hype around artificial intelligence, we have been sharing content, we've been sharing insight and creating courses around how to leverage AI in marketing and business. So today we're on track to have about 400,000 people visit the site this year. We have more than 40,000 marketing and business leaders who are subscribed to our content. And we run one of the top 3% of podcasts in the world at about 25,000 downloads a month and growing very fast. And we've had thousands of people take our free and paid online education. Our free Intro to AI course is wildly popular with marketers. It gives you an intro to AI in about 30 or so minutes. And we've had many, many learners take our paid courses in our AI Academy for marketers. So really taking the next step in building their careers through AI education. And certainly last but not least, we've had thousands of people attend virtual events that we've run or in-person events like our Marketing AI conference, MACON, which happens every year. So we've been at this quite a while, helping marketers and businesses do what we've done for ourselves, which is understand and apply AI to their marketing and business operations. So let's talk about how we're going to help you do that today. We've got kind of a packed agenda over the next 40 minutes or so. We're going to first talk about your opportunity with AI. Why does this matter to you and your job and your role? And what can you start doing about that? We're going to go through practical use cases for AI in marketing for manufacturing specifically. We're also going to talk through some top AI tools you may want to consider as you go explore this technology. And we're going to leave you with some actionable advice on how you can actually assess AI vendors that you might be looking at after today. Beyond, what we talk about here, as you go on your own AI journey, you're going to encounter dozens, if not hundreds, of different pieces of technology. We're going to share with you some helpful advice on how to navigate that. And then finally, myself and Kathy will be fielding some questions from the audience and trying to answer as many of those as possible as we wrap up our webinar here today in just about 50 or so minutes. So enough about us. Let's talk about you and your AI opportunity. So to understand how AI can help you enhance productivity, creativity, and performance in marketing, it really first helps to understand what are we talking about when we talk about artificial intelligence. There are a ton of definitions out there and a lot of terminology. We've heard, generative AI, large language models, ChatGPT, things like these. If you ask 10 different AI experts, what is artificial intelligence, you're going to get 10 slightly different answers. Now, our favorite definition of AI comes from a guy named Demis Hassabis, who is the co-founder and CEO of DeepMind, which has been acquired by Google many years ago to form the backbone of their AI efforts. So he's essentially leading up AI at Google these days. Demis says that AI is the science of making machines smart. So to make this definition even more accessible, you can substitute the word machines for the word software, because anytime you interact with artificial intelligence today and moving forward, you'll be doing so in the form of smarter software, whether that's the software you already use, getting smarter because it's been infused with artificial intelligence, or new tools that you adopt that use AI to achieve smarter outcomes. So you're going to very quickly start or continue using software that can learn and adapt, that can make recommendations, that can make predictions, that can build plans, and that can do all sorts of things that traditional software just cannot do. Now, when we say traditional software, we're kind of really talking about non-AI software, the software we've used over the last couple decades to do business. Now, that software has been really helpful, but historically, it only does what we tell it to do. It only follows strict instructions and doesn't do anything else. It doesn't get better. It doesn't get smarter. It doesn't improve unless we tell it to. That is not the future we are headed into with AI. When we talk about artificial intelligence, you can really think about it as this umbrella term for all the tools and technologies that make machines, that make software smart. And really, the primary subset to understand here of AI is machine learning. Machine learning is simply data going into a machine learning from that data, and then improving its outputs based on that data. So, as an example, let's say you send an email to 10,000 people. We might use a machine learning system to analyze data from that email. Data could be anything like opens, clicks, engagement, conversions, etc. The machine analyzes all of that data, and then it uses that data to make the next email send smarter. So whereas a traditional piece of email software sends your 10,000 emails and that's it, machine learning can actually use data from those emails to make sure it is adjusting, say, the language in an email or the send time to make the next email perform better. So machine learning is literally a machine learning from different types of data to get smarter. Now, the other big term to kind of understand here is deep learning. This is a subset of machine learning, and it's really the process of giving machines human-like capabilities. So it's really what's been driving over the last 10 years or so, this explosion, this advancement, this innovation in generative AI. Because generative AI at the end of the day really is just a type of deep learning that is being powered by deep learning and allows us to now generate content. And often the most immediately applicable content you'll be generating are images and language. Now, when it comes to thinking about how to apply AI to your own business, to your own role, to your own marketing, you're really looking at three core applications. And the first is prediction. AI tools are prediction machines. They're using data to make predictions about the future. You can see an example of this here. This is an AI tool called Persado. It analyzes individual personas and personalities and will actually use that data to predict what types of language motivate different people. So here you see Hannah might see one set of language, Chris sees another set of language from the same ad based on which words they find most motivating. So in this way, we're actually able to predict what will cause Hannah or Chris, for instance, to take action on an advertisement. So in prediction, you're talking about things like forecasting, pattern recognition, personalization, and of course, all the recommendation engines that we see out there, including like on Amazon, when it is determining what would you like to see or buy next based on your purchase history.
And Mike, one thing I like to talk about with personalization, especially the Persado example, is we could be doing things like building lists, tracking data, doing all these things and coming up with those results on our own. It just takes such a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So why not reinvest that time doing other things and getting these tools to assist us with some of these processes and make these predictions rather than having us run all these tests. So it really is just augmenting all the things we're already doing.
Indeed. And in some cases too, like in the Persado example, it's making predictions that frankly, like we wouldn't even be able to make in the first place. So, you and I can't sit here and look at 100,000 different audience members and say what language motivates each person, right? Or each group of people. It just wouldn't be feasible. So it's really helpful in the sense when we talk about AI, it's a good point, like automating or augmenting things. It does not mean necessarily they're automating and augmenting things that we are uniquely good at.
Or assuming that, just because I fit a certain persona, I'm going to be motivated by a certain phrase. But if it's tracking what I'm already word, that I'm already clicking on or doing what, any action I'm taking, it's already seeing that. So it's taking the persona out of it basically and putting in my habits.
Exactly. And so when we think about AI use cases beyond prediction, one of the other core applications here is vision AI. So you can see here an example of this. Really beginning last year, we started to see this explosion of vision AI tools that can generate images and video. This is one called Midjourney, which is quite popular. I literally just tell it to generate an image of a beach at sunset with several palm trees swaying in the breeze and make it photorealistic. And within a few seconds, AI is able to generate a pretty cool example of the image that I described using only plain text. I don't need to be an artist or photographer to be able to create this. Now, that's just one example of what we can do when it comes to AI for vision. AI can also understand objects in photos and videos. It can recognize your face, for instance, when you use facial recognition to unlock your iPhone, and it can detect movements. So if you think of, say, like a Nest Cam on your house, it's probably activating once it detects movements outside. So to give you a sense of just how fast some of this stuff is developing, this is a timeline of Midjourney. So Midjourney, the tool I just showed, the V1 of that tool released in February of 2022. You can see it on the left here. The same prompt in February 2022, you can see the output on May 3rd, 2023, when version 5.1 of Midjourney was released. It is dramatically better within a very short time frame, probably just about 16 months. We've gone to almost from okay, interesting, cartoony, almost artistic generated images to photorealistic AI generated images. A lot of these tools, at least today, are absolutely doubling in their capabilities every 12 to 16 months at the current rate of change. So that's something that's really important to keep in mind as you're considering use cases and testing technology. That rate of change means these tools are getting very, very good, very, very fast. And of course, the last core application of artificial intelligence is language. And this is probably one you are most familiar with because it does power things like ChatGPT, which has taken the world by storm. This is the ability of artificial intelligence to actually generate content, generate written language, or to even generate audio. So with something like ChatGPT, we're actually now able to generate longer form content from scratch using the large language models like GPT-4 that power these tools. And not only are they getting very, very good at writing, but they're getting scary good at reasoning and creativity. By no means are these tools at all perfect. They make lots of mistakes. But within just a couple years, we've gone to very, very sophisticated large language models that give marketers, especially in kind of the manufacturing industry where we are creating a lot of written or audio content, a lot of really interesting use cases and possibilities with this technology. Now, a really important point to understand here when you think about your AI opportunity is the fact that AI isn't just all these third-party tools. It's not just ChatGPT. These capabilities that I just went through are being infused directly into the core tech stack platforms that power most businesses. As an example, just 5 months after ChatGPT came out, HubSpot, one of the major marketing automation platforms, baked its own version of ChatGPT right into the platform. So now you can use something like ChatSpot to actually, in natural language, prompt and chat with your HubSpot portal's data. So it's still an alpha product, has a lot of kinks to work out, but you can start seeing what's going to be possible here when we layer on these new AI capabilities onto existing technology. And for instance, HubSpot has also included a number of generative AI capabilities right within their tools. So you can now generate copy and images right within HubSpot. That's rolled out to HubSpot's 170,000 plus customers. And kind of the point here is that even if your team can barely spell AI today, every single employee is going to have access to these tools and capabilities very soon if they don't already. And they're going to need to know how to leverage them, because the people using these tools are going to be dramatically more productive, creative, and achieve better performance than the ones who don't. The same week HubSpot announced ChatSpot, Salesforce debuted Einstein GPT, which embeds generative AI into every aspect of Salesforce. So you'll see AI, generative AI across sales, service, marketing, and others within that platform. You can actually have AI write sales emails for you, schedule meetings, and respond to customers right within Salesforce. Google has not been idle either. Google is baking artificial intelligence into every single one of its Google Workspace apps. We have already seen our personal accounts start to get access to these tools, so you may have access to them already. Google will now has a Help Me Write button in Google Docs that will help you automatically draft content, summarize it, or rewrite it. You will also soon be able to generate slides using text prompts in Google Slides, or use text prompts to organize your data in Google Sheets. Microsoft gets a lot of press as well in the world of AI, and specifically through their partnership with OpenAI, especially in manufacturing. At least from my experience, there are probably quite a few companies that are using Microsoft products in one or more areas of marketing and or their other operations. Microsoft is very quickly building AI copilots in the form of Microsoft 365 Copilot to essentially work across all of the different Microsoft 365 apps, so like Word, PowerPoint, Excel, etc., to help you use natural language prompting and chat to achieve more at a dramatically higher rate of productivity.
One of the things I loved seeing in that demo, I know Paul showed it at Maycon, but I watched that whole hour presentation from Microsoft. You know, if I'm in Excel and I'm number crunching and something could pop up and say, "Are you trying to make a pivot table?" I was like,
yep.
"Oh my gosh, that would be absolutely amazing." I know how to do it, but you know, how nice would that be for to recognize what you looks like, what you're trying to do, and just do it for you? Or
Exactly.
like you said, create this PowerPoint presentation based on some text that you have.
That's exactly it. Yeah, it doesn't have to be something that is this super complex kind of rocket science use case. There's going to be so many small ways across all the software we already use that is going to make people 30, 50, 100% more productive, which is why the people that use these tools and start to learn how to leverage these copilots within their existing platforms are really going to see dramatic wins very, very quickly. And that really is why it's important to understand that despite how quickly this is all moving, how quickly AI is advancing, how quickly it started being infused into the software that you use every day, this is going to be the least capable AI that you ever use. So I know there's lots of very legitimate critiques out there of things like ChatGPT or AI systems in ways aren't there yet on certain features. That's all very well and good, but it is still day one in the world of AI. From here, you can expect a rapid and likely exponential rate of change in the technology that you use every day to do your work and achieve your goals. And that opens up a massive opportunity for every marketer, and especially for marketers in manufacturing. We now today have the opportunity to use artificial intelligence to truly deliver the one-to-one personalization and experiences at scale that modern consumers expect. We have the ability to now unlock previously unimaginable creative possibilities. I mean, we've already seen in that slide about Midjourney how quickly we have gone from pretty rudimentary image generation to the ability to generate photorealistic images from scratch, often for free or very affordably. And also, AI presents a massive opportunity for early adopters to drive efficiencies, drive revenue growth, and drive the profits that leadership is demanding, especially in companies that are facing economic headwinds. Now, make no mistake, like this is not aspirational. Marketers are already widely experimenting with and adopting AI today to start trying to achieve these types of outcomes. So this chart actually comes from our 2023 State of Marketing AI report. We just released that report last week, and it was also actually in partnership with Drift. And as part of it, we surveyed more than 900 marketers on a variety of questions related to how they understand and use AI. When we asked them to describe their personal use of AI tools, 98% said that they were already using AI in some way. 45%, the largest segment, said they were experimenting. A full 29% said it was already infused into their daily workflows, and 18% said they use it periodically. 6% say they can't live without it. Just 2% said they don't use artificial intelligence at all. This is why we expect that 80% of what marketers and ultimately knowledge workers do every day is going to be intelligently automated to some degree in the next 1 to 2 years. With how rapidly AI is advancing and how rapidly it's being infused into everyday tools, it's never been easier to capture all these powerful productivity benefits using really, really accessible AI technology.
Mike,
Now,
I know that we've been talking about knowledge work for quite a few months at the Institute, but I actually was surprised on some folks that didn't know what that meant. So could you explain what those roles, might fit into a knowledge worker role?
yeah, so to give some sense, knowledge worker is probably anything we would consider like a white collar job, right? Any type of job that is relying on any type of like cognitive labor where your output is primarily ideas, right? So anything from accounting to being a lawyer to being a consultant, a marketer, a sales professional, a programmer, etc. This is all what we broadly consider knowledge work. And I believe the latest numbers are there's at least 100 million knowledge workers in the United States alone. So it's the vast majority of the labor force in certain kind of advanced economies. But I would also say with this doesn't really mean 80% of jobs are going to be wiped out with AI. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about quickly approaching a world where we have affordable, accessible AI that can help us do 80% or more of this cognitive work, this knowledge work that we do as marketers. And this is really where the AI opportunity comes in. The technology is already here. We've already seen it's being adopted and it's being infused into the platforms we're already using. And we're seeing it's already growing more powerful by the day, which means that the marketers who embrace artificial intelligence now have the best chance to create massive opportunities for themselves and their colleagues. So if you have not historically gotten started with AI yet, or you're just getting started with it now, you're not behind, but you are at an inflection point where starting today, you can really build an incredible competitive advantage in your career and in your company by using these tools more and more.
And I feel like we've been saying that too for a while, you're not behind. And I feel like we're going to stop saying that pretty quickly.
Right. Yeah. As of today, nobody is behind, but I would recommend treating AI with some urgency given how quickly things are moving. So one way to do that is looking at some of the use cases specific to manufacturing marketing. So let's see how we can start thinking about and using AI in marketing for manufacturing companies specifically. Before we get into the specifics, I do want to give you just a really simple, useful framework to think about AI use cases in any area of marketing or business. So even if we don't hit on your specific use case over the next few slides, you can start using this framework to find use cases for yourself in your own career, in your own role, in your own work. And to do that, you really want to look at what you're doing every day, every week, every month, quarter, etc., and ask yourself the following questions about that task or activity. Is it data-driven? Does it use data to produce an outcome in some way? Is it repetitive? Does it follow a common set of steps every time you do it? Is it predictive? Are we making any type of prediction when we do the task? Is it generative? Are we producing or generating any type of content as part of the task? If you answer yes to any one of these questions, you probably have a really solid use case where AI can help you do it better, smarter, faster, and cheaper. So you can very easily just look at the things that are in your job description and start asking yourself these questions to find really solid avenues that you might want to explore applying AI to parts of your work. Now, in manufacturing marketing specifically, we're seeing today top manufacturers already expanding their use of AI technology in a variety of common marketing areas. So, for instance, in analytics, manufacturing marketers are using AI to find patterns in data and predict trends in real time. They're actually measuring performance in dashboards and reports. And in some cases, there are tools today that will actually use text prompts to automatically generate dashboards and reports from your data. And they're using it to provide better personalization by getting a clearer view of customers, distributors, and other stakeholders in the manufacturing ecosystem that they're marketing to. When it comes to things like content, there are so many possible options in manufacturing to use AI to improve your marketing content. For instance, you can do things like create visuals from scratch, including images and video. You might want to use that to, for instance, show how complex systems and parts work. You may want to use AI to automatically surface the content that helps your prospect take a next step towards purchase. This is used by quite a few organizations to actually provide what makes the most sense for where the customer is in their journey to move them forward. Not to mention, AI excels at serving dynamic content that helps users find a product or a part based on their needs in one kind of manufacturing specific example, but you can serve dynamic content across a range of different types of content to actually give people the exact information they're looking for based on their own customer profile at the exact right time. In sales, AI is making huge waves. We can use AI today to predict accounts that might buy or even churn based on historical data. We can identify cross-sell and upsell opportunities based on past purchasing history. And we can use AI tools to actually have one-to-one personalized conversations with people that hit our website automatically in a very natural way and at scale. Social media, both in manufacturing and other industries, is a huge area that people are using AI to be massively more productive and effective. So AI can actually be used today to automatically generate social shares simply from scratch from text prompts, or you can take your already written content or created content and turn that into tons of additional social shares with the help of AI. You can automatically generate compelling images using AI image generation tools or videos if you want short video clips for social media posts. And you can also scale up social dramatically by serving a bunch of different variations to different audiences by using an AI tool to, for instance, scale a single piece of creative into a bunch of different formats for other platforms.
So Mike, can I touch on that for a second?
Of course.
So for social, I've been trying a few generative AI tools to help me draft some social content from blog posts, reports, webinars, etc. And I would say it's okay. It's not great. I do go through and tweak things. I want to make them sound like us. It doesn't always hit on the key points within an article to pull something out for social, but it's okay. It's a good starting point. I do always seem to edit everything I've been doing, the output I receive. I did use a tool this morning called Opus Clip, OPUS Clip, and I put in this morning's podcast. I put it into there and it generated 10 short form videos that I'm going to be using for YouTube Shorts. And of the 10 it generated, I would say 5 of them are really, really solid. And I'm going to go through and try to edit the other ones. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this saved me so much time. And it's just so important for us to make sure that, the podcast, obviously, Mike and Paul are on the podcast. It does amazing numbers. But part of the reason it does amazing numbers is because we're able to distribute it in a lot of places. So by doing things, investing that time in these YouTube Shorts or all these other places, that's how it's getting it out there more. So it's such an important piece. And that was just one tool that I found that Tracy found last week that I was playing around with today. And I was just very, very like, wow, with the results.
Yeah, absolutely. And even with some of the tools, like not many of these tools are going to be simply clicking a button and everything just works. I mean, there's always going to be a human in the loop with these tools. But even the speed and scale at which some of these tools in social media, for instance, can generate shares, even if you are going through and saying, okay, about half these are kind of stuff I can work with, and about half of them I have to throw out, that's still probably dramatically moving the ball forward when it comes to getting the amount of content or the ideas you need for the week. So every tool will be different, but yeah, even a little AI can go such a long way towards dramatically more efficient social work or other types of marketing. Last but not least, we can use AI in a number of use cases for website conversions and support tasks. So for instance, we can be using AI-powered chatbots to engage website visitors with contextual greetings or information. We can actually do massive website and landing page testing experiments at scale across different assets using artificial intelligence, doing hundreds, if not thousands of tests that humans just alone could not have the bandwidth to do in seconds or minutes. And we can also tweak or predict, offer predictive and dynamic pricing based on customer behavior and demand. Now, excuse me. Now, these are just a handful of the many, many ways that AI can be deployed in marketing for manufacturing companies. To give you kind of a sense as we wrap up this section of what's possible here, I wanted to share quickly a couple case studies. So both of these come from customers of Drift, who I mentioned before. Drift being a conversational AI company. In one particular use case, a security equipment manufacturer used Drift to actually increase their email capture rate by 3x. So basically what they were trying to do is, as they were doing account-based marketing to different VIPs, they also realized they had an opportunity to further nurture those folks, outside of ABM conversations by getting them into their ecosystem of content and email messaging. So they actually started deploying chatbots that pinpointed each customer's intent when they outreach to them, when the customer came to their website. So basically, when I landed on their website, I'm getting a one-to-one AI-powered experience that is looking at things like my specific buyer needs based on my industry, the page I'm browsing, where I'm at in the buyer journey. And I'm getting a personalized conversation that gets me further into the site, further into the content, and gets me to the right person, should I want to talk to one, at the right time based on all this firmographic data. And actually using all this data, the company was able to optimize fully kind of how all its conversation flows worked on the website for even better results across the rest of the company. So as a result of this, they actually did more than 55,000 different conversations using AI chatbots. They uncovered 2,300 new opportunities. And because they were getting this personalized experience, all of the website visitors were much, much more likely to be giving away their email in exchange for valuable content, valuable offers, and valuable communication. So that resulted in a 3x higher email capture rate.
And I think what I like about that one, is that, we have a chatbot on our Facebook messages. Someone comes in, are you looking for information on Academy or Macon, or would you like to subscribe to our newsletter? Very, very basic. That's, just a fundamental chatbot. But with Drift, it's tied to their CRM. So they're able to go in and skip the part about, do you want to know about Macon? Because they know I already came, so it's taking a lot of that preliminary stuff out and actually serving up something that I know I'd be interested in. And then it's tying all back to my member record. It just makes then the marketing and everything I'm getting so much more valuable. It is by definition a chatbot, but it's such a different, experience.
Absolutely. And that's a really important point, because you're not just talking about a standardized chatbot, though that is part of the experience. It is also how AI is working with the data collected by the chatbot to further personalize and tailor future conversations. So we talked about way back in the beginning here, the reason that machine learning is so powerful an AI is so powerful over traditional technology is its ability to take in more and more data and learn and improve further from that data. That's exactly what Kathy mentioned is happening here as well. And in one other quick case study here, a Fortune 500 manufacturer deployed a similar strategy to actually manage better all the different conversations and visitors coming to its website. So in this case, this company had 170 different manufacturing locations all around the globe, 80,000 plus employees. So it's a huge international operation. And as I'm sure some bigger manufacturers maybe in the audience can understand, it was extremely hard to have the right conversation with the right people in the right country based on where they landed on like a site or a microsite or another property. So by deploying AI tools from Drift, they were actually able to quickly book meetings and get people to live chat when they needed it, regardless of kind of which country they were in, and personalizing it to where they were coming from and what they were trying to solve for. So in this way, smartly deployed chatbots actually were able to shorten the sales cycle by getting people to a rep exactly when they needed to. They lowered overall the cost of service and actually drove a ton of leads because with better, more responsive chat that actually solved customer problems, they were able to book more and more meetings. And they booked more than 600 meetings in 6 months through these conversations. So that just gives you kind of a sense of what this stuff looks like when you begin deploying it in the real world.
I think chatbots have come so far, they're not trying to act like it's a human.
Yeah.
It's very clearly a chatbot, but the information you're getting is so valuable.
Absolutely. All right. So as we wrap up here, I want to share with you very quickly some top AI tools you may want to consider as you start your own research into AI for manufacturing marketing use cases. And then we'll finalize this before Q&A by talking through a couple tips on how to vet some AI vendors and technology. So first up, obviously, we've talked about Drift quite a bit. If you are looking for personalized conversations 24/7 on your website and you want to actually qualify leads automatically, Drift is well worth looking into. They have a range of conversational solutions. It's not just chatbots. You're basically using an AI-powered online concierge across different channels to provide great digital experiences. And like Kathy had mentioned, you can actually be using all the insights from these conversations to make your conversation smarter and more effective over time, the longer you're using technology from Drift. Sixth Sense actually uses AI to capture intent signals or indicators that people are likely to take a desired action. And you can actually start using a tool like this to identify the counts in market that matter most to your business goals and then predict if they're actually ready to buy or predict when it's the best time to engage with them. AI advertising is an AI ad platform that actually allows you to begin predicting the success of ad campaigns using, like I mentioned, that power of predictive AI by using historical data and proprietary data to understand what's going to work best while you are activating a campaign. And you can then use this information, these capabilities, to hyper-personalize your ad campaigns to specific personas, which naturally leads to much better results. Descript is a tool that we use here at the Institute, but if you are in manufacturing, you probably, I would assume, do something with audio or video as a core part of your marketing, whether it is webinars, podcasts, instructive videos, etc. Descript is wildly affordable and gives you professional grade audio and video editing capabilities. Our team does not have professional audio and video skills, yet we are able to use Descript to produce pro-level podcasts, webinars, videos, etc. It's really incredible for the price what some of the sophisticated AI in Descript can do. It can do things like automatically improve sound quality. It can instantly filter out words, and it can even create voice clones to overdub your recordings without you having to re-record something. Market Muse is another tool we use daily, and for any manufacturing firm trying to rank for those core terms around your products, around your services, and in different geographical locations, Market Muse is absolutely something you need to take a look at. It's an AI content strategy tool. It will identify the best ranking opportunities for you based on your personalized metrics. So you're not just getting generic keyword difficulty and topic difficulty data. You're actually learning exactly how your site stacks up against the competition and what opportunities you uniquely have based on your topic and domain authority. So we have actually used this time and time again to outrank much bigger, much better funded competitors. I alluded to Persado at the beginning of this presentation. Persado basically tailors any marketing message that's written to use the exact words that motivate your prospects. So using proprietary data, Persado understands which types of language motivate different types of people. And over time, it will personalize your message to different people based on their motivational factors, which increases conversions by using the right message that they want to see that really appeals to them at the right time. Last but not least is Writer. This is an AI writing platform that's specifically built for teams. So if you're a manufacturing company, you probably have several people working on content creation. You probably have teams that are coordinating together to follow the right style guide, brand guidelines, etc. Writer is built for all of that. So it can generate content for you, summarize content, help you outline, edit, create content snippets to make your writing faster. And it will, like any other writing tool, generate really high quality content, but it does so with all those team-friendly features to help you collaborate across an entire enterprise. And also, they are highly designed to be secure and compliant. So if you're worried about some of these data security concerns with other AI tools out there, Writer is designed for enterprise-grade security and compliance. All right, so as we wrap up here in the next couple minutes, then we'll dive into Q&A at the end here. Just want to leave you with some advice on how to assess AI vendors. You know, I gave you a few examples of vendors you may want to look into, but there's hundreds, if not thousands, of AI vendors out there, and more appear by the day as investment dollars flow into AI. So you're almost certainly going to be having a fair amount of conversations with people that sell AI technology. No matter who you talk to, you need to challenge them to explain in simple terms how their technology works, and also challenge them to explain how it's smarter than what you're doing now. Not all AI is created equal. Just because someone says they have AI in a solution doesn't necessarily mean it's that much smarter than what you're doing today. Unfortunately, the market for AI technology is riddled with hype and exaggerated claims. So if someone can't clearly tell you how do you use AI and what is the value of that over what I do today, you may want to talk to somebody else. And no matter how complex some of the solutions can get out there and this evaluation process can get, the factors you want to hone in on are actually pretty simple. First, you want to look at how can I save time and money using this solution over what I do today, or how do I get an efficiency lift? And how can I increase the probability of achieving my business goals? What type of performance lift might I get? Now, keep in mind, not every AI tool will both save you time and money and say increase revenue, though many will do both. Some might only provide a significant efficiency lift, and that's totally fine. I mean, often we see businesses get started by deploying AI tools to existing workflows to make them faster and cheaper. And then, you know, as they start layering in additional technology, they're actually transforming how their business achieves goals. At every step of the way, you just want to be asking, what will the machine do? What will the marketer do? Because like we mentioned before, when me and Kathy were talking, there's no scenario where you're clicking a button here and AI is doing everything for you. There are always going to be humans in the loop. And you want to understand as you talk to vendors, where are those humans required? All right, I'm going to wrap up here by suggesting a few questions you might want to ask vendors. Now, you don't have to ask vendors every single question I outline here, though the best ones we've encountered are always happy to answer questions, but these might help you round out your picture of a potential partner you're working with long-term. You might want to ask things like, does the company have a public roadmap for its AI capabilities? This is especially helpful to ask with your existing vendors. What types of training and onboarding are provided? What is their position on ethics in AI? About the technology itself, what are the primary use cases for the AI-powered solution? What makes the solutions actually smarter than traditional approaches and products? And really importantly, are there any minimum requirements to get value out of the technology? Some tools, and they will be transparent about this, may require a certain, say, ad spend each month to apply their AI to your ad program, or might require you to send a minimum number of emails each month to apply their AI to your email program. You also want to ask yourself about your team as it relates to the solution you're buying. I mean, you want to ask things like, what kind of in-house capabilities do we need to actually get value out of this solution? And you might want to ask that of both the vendor and yourself. What training is needed for your team? Ask if the vendor provides it. They won't always provide it, but it is worth asking about. And what does onboarding look like? Not all of these tools can be fully deployed on day one. They sometimes require pretty extensive onboarding to get full value out of them. That's not a bad thing inherently. It's just something you want to know going in. All right, so as we dive into Q&A here, I want to leave you with some information on how to get the report. Like we said, you'll receive an email with an ungated version of the report. The report has far more content than I went through here. If you want to download it before you get the email, go to the link that is on the screen, bit.ly/AI-4-manufacturing. You can download it there as well. And I do want to leave you with another quick note to do check out Drift if any of the use cases that Drift applies to are any that you're trying to solve for. They are specifically designed, one of the verticals they target is manufacturing. They have helped leading manufacturers see 29% higher web conversion rates using their AI-powered solutions. They're well worth having a conversation with. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and me and Kathy are going to go into some Q&A and discussion in the last 10 or so minutes that we've got here.
Awesome. Thank you, Mike. That was great, as usual. So when you and I were talking, earlier this week and last week, and even this morning about just the difference between manufacturing marketing and just marketing in general, just being in this industry, I just feel like manufacturers are just ripe for this technology because they have so many systems and processes. Do you think that manufacturing is just ahead of other industries as far as just being set up for success?
Yeah, I certainly think the mentality in manufacturing around different processes and having a really systematic way of following processes to achieve outcomes is absolutely a huge advantage over some other areas or other industries when it comes to applying AI. I've found, at least in my work, especially in marketing, manufacturing marketers are extremely diligent with having a lot of things documented, a lot of processes and internal knowledge bases like ready to go in terms of, kind of internalizing the organizational knowledge of the company. So I think there's a lot of advantages. I would just say I'd encourage people in manufacturing to apply the same rigorous kind of intellectual process you would to anything else you're doing in that industry to the deployment of AI, step by step, document processes, and be quite methodical about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So we had a few questions on copyright, both for content as well as images. Could you touch on that?
Yeah, let me look at one of these. So like, how copyrightable is AI produced content? So obviously with the caveat that we are not attorneys. So definitely check with a legal professional for valid legal advice. Our understanding today, based on the results we've seen from the US Copyright Office, at least, is that you cannot copyright AI produced content because they do not consider it as being owned or written by, or created by rather, a human author. So that doesn't mean you can't generate content with AI, you can go ahead and do that. But if you are producing AI generated content for things that are very sensitive that you want to copyright, you would have a hard time defending that copyright, is our understanding.
So we've used AI for social, for some ideation, for some outlines, things like that, but we did not use it for the manufacturing blueprint.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
For example.
That's a good point. I should probably say that at the beginning. None of the stuff that's here has been produced, generated directly by AI.
And could you go into images a little bit? So Jesse's asking, how are images created by AI not violating copyright laws?
So it's kind of the wild, wild west at the moment. So if you're a company using Midjourney or another DALL-E 2 or whatever to generate an image, like nobody is going to come after you. I mean, obviously, if you generate an image that had, say, protected logos or things in it and you're publishing them as your own, that might be problematic. Same as if I used stock art that had somebody like Apple's logo and I wasn't able to use it. That could present a problem, but you are not necessarily liable as a company for using an AI image generation tool. Where it gets really murky is that the vast majority of these tools have been trained, they believe, on some content that might have been copyrighted. So this is a big legal entanglement that they're trying to unknot right now. And it's going to take years and years and millions and millions and millions of dollars. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to get clarity anytime soon. We are not concerned personally at all about using AI generation tools for content from a legal perspective. Now, obviously, you may feel one way or another about using them based on how you know they're trained. But right now, it's really going to be the big foundational model companies, the people building these models and the tools on top of them, that are going to have to deal with all the fallout from the copyright issues.
Right. And you touched on it a little bit on this week's podcast as well.
Yes. Yeah.
Episode
Yeah.
61.
A very big revelation came out that they finally started proving that some of these models are using hundreds of thousands of pirated books to train their models on. So
we're going to be watching the court system for a long time, it seems like.
Yeah. It's a good time to be a lawyer.
Julia, we touched on this a little bit, but Julia is asking, what software do you recommend to help generate video content? So we talked about Descript. I talked about Opus, and Gloss AI is another. Are there any others that you know off the top of your head, Mike?
Video generation, I would say, is still really, really early. So I'm really impressed by what it can do from an artistic perspective. I don't know if today you're going to generate like an hour-long marketing video using AI. I would highly recommend playing around with Runway as like one of the leaders in this space, but still you're not, even the most advanced tools today aren't generating more than probably like 30 to 60 seconds of totally from scratch AI generated video. However, keep in mind some of those earlier slides about how fast this stuff moves. I guarantee you AI video generation is going to be light years ahead of where it is today in just 6 to 12 months, maybe if not less time. So I would say for video editing and chopping up video, the ones that you mentioned, Kathy, I think for video production like that are absolutely well worth looking into. And then play around with Runway if you want to generate video from scratch, but approach it with a bit of a realizing it's kind of early days.
Yeah. And someone's asking a question I actually had in our list of questions, if no one came up with any, is, if you're looking at your tech stack versus a new tool versus something even bigger, how are you deciding, do I go to my technology company and say, is there an AI component baked in I'm not taking advantage of? Or what's your runway, as you mentioned? Or do we look to these new tools that can do an isolated thing or a set of things instead?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think it's one that everyone's going to have to answer for themselves, because I tend to counsel people to first start, if you can, with the tools you're already using and at least test out the AI features that they have. Like, why wouldn't you? I've personally not always found them as good as some of the other third-party tools, but like we're lucky in the sense that, it's kind of our thing to be able to go test 100 different tools. So I realized I would honestly, even if you can get a tool that isn't as powerful, but it's easier for you to adopt and start using and get buy-in for internally because it's part of your existing tech stack, realistically, that's probably the way to go. Because yeah, I don't, there's really not going to be in some cases, as especially as people like Microsoft and Google roll out significantly powerful tools, there might not be a need to buy third-party tools. Now, you may want to, if you're really going all in and you think you have a really valuable use case for AI, you may want to do a side-by-side comparison. It'd probably be worth it. But if you're just getting started, I wouldn't even spend a ton of time worrying about, should I use a third-party tool or use what's in HubSpot? Use whatever is most immediately accessible to get
I was
started.
going to say that, even HubSpot, if HubSpot doesn't do it, there's something in their marketplace that probably does. So
Right.
if there's
Yeah.
something that integrates with the tool you're already using, that might be a route to take also.
Yeah. And if you're getting bogged down in essentially vetting tools or getting approval for budget or something, it's much more valuable to you to just get started now, I would say. So if it's easier, even if you're like, okay, whatever tool and whatever platform I already use isn't as good as a third-party tool, as long as you can get access to it, it's at least a start.
Yep. Well, it is 1 o'clock, but I'm going to ask you one more quick question if you don't mind.
All right.
There's a local company that I'm friends with, the head of marketing, and she was talking about how they're building an AI council. And it involves folks from different departments all trying to get behind this idea of onboarding AI in their company. Do you have any ideas or steps or suggestions on how someone could get started being that champion in their organization?
So when it comes first to the AI council piece, that's something that I feel like is evolving right now in real time. Like we're seeing people start them, but I've seen them look very, very different depending on the organization. So I think it's really just whatever you feel are the parties that need to be involved there. But for every single person here getting started or trying to champion AI internally, or maybe thinking about the AI council, I actually have like really simple, but I think impactful advice, which is you need to raise your hand. Like even if you're young, junior, entry level, not, or whatever role you have, high or low in the organization, you have no idea how desperately your bosses, executives, and leaders are trying to figure this out. And they are not always able to do it because it's so new and it moves so fast. By you raising your hand and indicating you're interested in artificial intelligence, even if it's just like, hey, I am doing some research and experimentation on my own, and telling the people that matter, you can get a huge leg up and you can be part of those conversations. I know for a fact, multiple entry-level people who are now on AI councils with executives and the board because they did exactly this thing.
Right. Well, thank you to everyone. There was about 2/3 of the folks stayed till the bitter end and went over our hour. So thank you so much to everyone for staying. Thank you, Mike, so much for always sharing your expertise. And you'll get the recording and all of the stuff, the report and everything, hopefully today, if not by first thing tomorrow morning. So thanks, everyone. Thanks, Mike, and we will see you next time.
Thank you all so much.